In a remote corner of Ethiopia, in the lush town of Kombolcha, lived a modest man named Tarek. His life was simple, but filled with happiness. His happiness mainly came from his wife, Adina, a woman of striking beauty and a pure heart. The couple didn't have many material possessions. Their small mud brick house was not large, but their love and contentment with what they had made them rich at heart. Tarek spent his days working in the fields, growing vegetables and maize to provide for his household. Adina, on the other hand, took care of the house and small chores in the village. Not far from them, in a large villa surrounded by high walls and vast gardens, lived Kebede, a wealthy and powerful businessman. Kebede owned almost everything in the town: the lands, the markets, and even the roads. Many villagers worked for him, directly or indirectly. Although Kebede had many possessions, he envied what he did not own. And what he did not own was Adina. From the first time he laid eyes on her, Kebede became obsessed with her beauty. He thought, "A woman this beautiful should not live in poverty. She deserves fine dresses, precious jewels, and a life of luxury." From that moment on, Kebede could not stop thinking about Adina. Each day he watched her from afar, and each day his desire to possess her grew. He quickly devised a plan to take her away from her husband and make her his own. The scheming begins. One morning, while Tarek was away working in the fields, Kebede approached Adina, who was washing clothes near the stream. He greeted her in a soft voice, enough to unsettle her. "Good morning, Adina. I have never seen a woman as beautiful as you in the entire village. But tell me, why does a woman like you live in such conditions? Doesn't your husband treat you like the queen you are?" Adina, feeling uncomfortable, tried to change the subject. "My husband is good to me and we have everything we need." But Kebede, with a sly smile, persisted. "Don't be modest, Adina. Look at yourself. Your clothes are worn out, and your house is so small. If I were your husband, I would give you silk dresses, gold jewelry, and you would live in a house fit for a princess." Kebede's words echoed in Adina's mind. That evening, when she saw Tarek return exhausted after a long day's work, she began to notice things she had never paid attention to before. The crumbling walls of their house, her worn-out clothes, and the simplicity of their life. For the first time, she felt a sense of discontent. A few days later, Kebede returned. This time, he didn't rely on words alone. He brought a beautiful silk scarf and handed it to her. "It's a small gift for you, Adina. It's nothing compared to what I could give you if you were with me." Adina, confused, hesitated, but Kebede persuaded her. "Take it. It's just a gift from a friend. You deserve so much more." She eventually accepted the scarf, although something inside her felt uneasy. She hid the gift, not wanting Tarek to see it. The first doubts. Every day, Kebede came back with a new gift or promise. He insisted, "Tarek will never be able to give you what I can offer. Look how beautiful you are in that scarf. Imagine if you had matching jewelry." Adina, though still loving her husband, began to wonder if Kebede was right. Couldn't Tarek provide her with more? One night, when Tarek came home late and exhausted from work, Adina did something she had never done before. She complained. "Tarek, look at me. My clothes are old and torn. Don't I deserve to wear something better? You work hard, but why don't you ever give me nice things?" Tarek, surprised by her remark, looked at her with tenderness. "Adina, you are the most beautiful woman in the village. You don't need luxurious clothes to be stunning. But if it makes you happy, I promise to buy you a beautiful dress." The next day, Tarek went to the market. With the meager savings he had set aside to buy farming tools, he bought the most beautiful dress he could afford. When he came home and gave the dress to Adina, she was moved to tears. "Thank you, Tarek," she whispered. "Now I know you love me." The Escalation of Desires. But Kebede was not done yet. He knew his conquest wouldn't be that easy. He returned to see Adina, this time with jewelry. "The dress is beautiful," he said, eyeing Adina. "But without jewelry, it's nothing. Look at these necklaces, these rings. They're symbols of your true worth. If you were my wife, all of this would be yours." Adina, though hesitant, was tempted. The jewelry was stunning. She began to think, maybe Kebede is right. Maybe I deserve more than what Tarek can give me. With each visit from Kebede, the doubt in Adina's heart grew. She began avoiding Tarek's gaze and no longer laughed at his jokes like before. One evening, when Tarek came home from work, exhausted and hoping to share a peaceful meal with his wife, he was surprised not to find dinner ready. Adina sat in silence, ignoring him as he entered. When he asked what was wrong, she bitterly replied, "Tarek, if you really love me, why don't you buy me jewelry like Kebede would?" Tarek was deeply hurt. He knew he couldn't compete with Kebede's wealth, but he couldn't let his wife feel neglected. The next day, he went to see his brother Mesfin, who owned prosperous lands. He asked for a loan. Mesfin agreed, on the condition that Tarek worked hard for him in return. Tarek worked tirelessly in his brother's fields, day and night, to earn enough money. Once he had the money, he went to the market and bought jewelry for Adina, a gold necklace and rings set with precious stones. When he gave them to Adina, her eyes lit up with joy, but deep inside, Tarek felt drained. The mysterious encounter. One day, while working in the fields to repay his brother, Tarek met a mysterious old man. The old man, dressed in tattered clothes, asked him for water. Kind-hearted as always, Tarek offered him water and food. In return, the old man said, "Tarek, you are a good and humble man. Here are 2 magical staffs. They can perform miracles. But remember, the real miracle does not lie in the objects you can give your wife, but in the love and faithfulness you show her. Use them wisely." Tarek's dilemma. Tarek, holding the 2 magical sticks in his hands, returned home deep in thought. He knew these sticks could bring him wealth, prosperity, or whatever he desired, but the old man's words still echoed in his mind. The real miracle, he had said, lay in love and loyalty. However, faced with Adina's growing dissatisfaction and the pressure he felt, Tarek no longer knew what to do. He deeply loved his wife and wanted to make her happy, but deep down he wondered if material gifts were really the solution to their problems. That evening, when he returned home, he hid the magical sticks in a corner of their small house. Adina did not ask where he had been. Their relationship, once so joyful and full of companionship, was now marked by distance and silence. Tarek told himself he would use the sticks as a last resort, but for now, he wanted to see if his love could rekindle the flame in their marriage. Kebede's intentions. Intensify. Meanwhile, Kebede, seeing that his gifts and promises had not yet fully won over Adina, decided to raise the stakes even higher. He organized a grand party at his luxurious villa and made sure that Adina was invited. He sent one of his servants to deliver the invitation directly to Adina, ensuring that Tarek would not hear about it. On the day of the party, Adina found herself facing a dilemma. She knew Tarek would not approve of her attending such an event, but the temptation was great. She thought to herself that there would be no harm in going just to see, just to taste the life Kebede had promised her. In secret, she dressed in her finest gown, the one Tarek had sacrificed so much to buy for her, and made her way to Kebede's villa. When she arrived, Adina was dazzled. Never had she seen such luxury. The guests wore sumptuous clothes, the tables were laden with abundant food and drinks, and laughter echoed throughout the mansion. Kebede greeted her warmly. "Welcome, Adina. This world could be yours. All of this is within reach. You only need to choose me." Throughout the evening, Kebede continued to make advances, leading her in a majestic dance under the envious gazes of the other guests. Adina, troubled, could not help but feel flattered. For the first time, She saw herself in a world of wealth, far from the simple life she led with Tarek. The turning point. But as she danced with Kebede, a feeling of unease crept over her. She thought of Tarek, of his tireless efforts to make her happy despite their modest means, and of the sincere love he had for her. A question arose in her mind. Could she really sacrifice all that love for a life of luxury and material wealth? At the same time, Tarek, worried about Adina's prolonged absence, began searching for her. He asked the neighbors if they had seen her, but no one knew where she was. Finally, he heard about the grand party at Kebede's place. A pain struck his heart as he guessed where his wife might be. Without wasting time, he made his way to Kebede's villa. Upon arrival, he saw Adina, radiant, dancing with his rival. His heart ached, but he made no scene. He calmly approached Adina and said, "Adina, you are free to choose. If this life is what you desire, I will not stop you. I love you too much to force you to stay." These words shook Adina deeply. In that moment, she realized that no amount of wealth could replace Tarek's sincere and unconditional love. The jewelry, the dresses, the grand parties, all of it suddenly seemed empty to her. She looked at Kebede, then at Tarek, and understood that her true treasure was in her humble home with her husband. Without a word, she let go of Kebede's hand and rejoined Tarek. "Forgive me, Tarek. I was blinded by promises of wealth, but now I know that nothing is more valuable than the love we share." Kebede, humiliated and furious, tried to hold her back. "You're making a mistake, Adina. You'll never find a life of luxury with him." But Adina calmly replied, "True wealth is not in gold or jewels, Kebede. It lies in the heart of the one who loves you sincerely." The power of the magic. Sticks back home, Tarek and Adina rekindled their love, stronger than ever. But this was not the end of the story. Tarek remembered the magical sticks given to him by the old man. He decided to use them not to buy material things, but to further enhance their happiness. The first stick, when he touched it, transformed into a pure water spring gushing near their home, guaranteeing Tarek and Adina an abundance of water to irrigate their crops. The second stick caused fruits and vegetables to grow in abundance in their fields, ensuring them a modest but prosperous life. They never became as rich as Kebede, but their small farm became a place of generosity and sharing. Villagers often came to seek Tarek's advice, admiring his wisdom and kindness. As for Adina, she felt more fulfilled than ever, knowing that her true wealth was the love she shared with her husband. And so ends the story of Tarek and Adina, a journey full of valuable lessons about love, fidelity, and the true riches of life. As we watch the characters navigate their challenges and temptations, we realize that the real treasure lies in the simplest and most sincere things. If this story touched you, or if you want to discover more inspiring and enriching tales, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jean and Fabie. By subscribing, you join a community passionate about learning, discovery, and sharing captivating stories that nourish the soul and awaken the mind. Click the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and let us take you on a fascinating journey through stories that will make you reflect, smile, and perhaps even change your perspective on life. Thank you for your support, and see you soon for more adventures.